Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 4 of the Tinted Visors podcast. I'm Kenny. He's Caden. Bring back another episode. We're going to go with the division predictions. We're going to wrap it up. If you haven't seen the first 3, make sure to go watch the other videos. We're going to do a 2016 redraft. We're going to talk about some fringe Hall of Fame players. And then, as always, we're going to finish off with some trivia. So, let's go.
Alright, so just before we get going here today, we're going to be doing our cards of the day. So I will start us off. Today I have a Canucks quad patch from Premier. It has Bo Horvat, Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson, and Quinn Hughes on it. And it's also numbered to 25. Number 23 out of 25. I think I bought it off Instagram when Horvat was a Canuck. Just a cool card. I like how the 2 whites are on the outside and then the blue and green are on the inside. So just a cool Canucks card in my collection. Kenny, what do you got?
For my card of the day, we're going to go with my biggest ever purchase. And we're going to do a Braden Point, the Cup, autograph rookie patch. Not much to say about it. It's numbered to 10. It's a really cool card. Really valuable, obviously. And it's an embarrassing amount of money, so I'm not going to share it. But it's a really nice card. And probably hold on to it for a long time. So moving on, we're going to go back to the division predictions. We're on the verge of the season starting, and we're just going to get our picks out before things get underway. We're going to go back over to the Metro Division. Didn't have much debate here for number 1. We're going to go with the Carolina Hurricanes. You know, they got a great roster, like I said in the first episode. A lot of depth all the way through. You look at the defense, their starting 6 is, you know, a bunch of top 2, top 4 defensemen, right? The goalies, they got 3 potential starters there. Anderson, Ranta, Kochekov, and their forwards. You know, obviously, you know, last season, as they exited the playoffs, people were saying they didn't have enough offense there, so they do need guys like Aho to continue to step up. They need Svechnikov to really break out and get, you know, 40-plus goals. And they need their young guys, you know, Jarvis, Jack Drury, you know, maybe Ryan Suzuki fills in somewhere. But they need the guys to step up offensively, get some goals, especially when the playoffs come.
No, absolutely. Like you mentioned earlier, this D-core is extremely deep, and signing Dmitry Orlov in the offseason only added to that, what is arguably the deepest D-core in the league. And up front, look for Seth Jarvis to have a breakout year. He's already been kind of established. He's playing first-line right wing, obviously with Aho, but look for him to take another step and kind of help the Hurricanes get over the hump this year. So coming in second place in the Metro Division, we have the New Jersey Devils. A very young team, obviously made it out of the first round last year. They're looking to take another step this year. Led up front by Jack Hughes, and the acquisition of Tyler Toffoli, I think, really bolsters an elite top 6 that is going to score a lot, and look for the New Jersey Devils to make it to the conference finals this year.
Yeah, you know, they looked really good last year, and that's without guys like Luke Hughes, Simon Nemec, you know, Alexander Holtz that they're going to get now. You know, the young guys are going to come up. They're just going to add to the depth. They're going to add to the skill level that they have. And, you know, with guys already up there, you know, Dougie Hamilton, Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, that 1-2 punch at center with Jack Hughes is just so elite. And, you know, the offense is there. The defense is there. You know, Nico Hischier, he's going to be, you know, a Selke candidate for the next, you know, 5+ years. You look at the goaltending, you know, I'm not really sure who's going to get that number 1 between Vanacek and Schmid. I would assume Schmid gets the start right off the bat, and sort of see how that goes. He showed really well in the playoffs, obviously, you know, knocking out the Rangers. And hopefully he can take that momentum. He's still pretty young, but, you know, they do have Vanacek in the back end, in the backup spot to take over if he falls. Taking the number 3 spot, we have the New York Rangers. Disappointing end to the season last year, you know, going out in the first round after going to the conference finals the year before that. There's not much, you know, in terms of guys that need to step up, really, because it's their playoff lock already. You know, Panarin's up there, Zibanejad's up there. You know, you look at the back end, Trouba, Fox, Lindgren, they're really solid. But once you get to the playoffs, that's when you need, you know, you guys like Panarin to step up, guys like Zibanejad to step up, because, you know, a lot of the fans were complaining that they weren't, you know, doing their part. You know, they weren't playing, you know, to their, you know, 8 mil, 11 mil contracts that they're owed. So I think they need to step up come playoff time, and I think they can go really deep if they do.
No, absolutely. The Rangers definitely do have the roster to compete for a cup. And you mentioned, you know, pinning the blame, not necessarily the blame, but some of the blame on the star players, but some of the guys who also need to step up are the depth guys, right? And someone that I want to see take a step forward this year is obviously the former number one overall pick, Alexis Lafreniere. Hasn't lived up to expectations. Obviously, the Rangers are kind of known for not being able to develop prospects, but this kind of feels like his last chance with this Rangers team, and he's not really getting the minutes to really. He's getting like middle six, bottom six minutes, but I'm hoping he can take a step this year and kind of show that he was worth that number one overall pick. Coming in fourth in the Metro Division and taking the only wild card spot, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins made probably the biggest splash of the offseason, acquiring Erik Karlsson from the Sharks, and this is an aging squad, but they still have the potential to make the playoffs. Led up front by Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, adding Karlsson to that blue line kind of propels them from like a mediocre team all the way up to like a potential playoff team. And if the Penguins get in, they have the experience, they could very easily make a run.
Yeah, I agree. I like everything that they've done this offseason, and not just with the players, with the management as well. You move on from Hextall, you move on from Brian Burke. Those two really left them in a really bad situation, and you bring in a guy like Kyle Dubas. Kind of really retooled, undid everything that Hextall did. Getting the squad to be a little younger. Moving on from aging guys, Jason Zucker, Jeff Petrie, guys like that. And I think what they've done can propel them back into the playoffs. And if you have Sidney Crosby in your roster, you're always going to have a shot. If you have guys like Malkin, guys like Letang, guys like Karlsson, you're always going to have a shot. You're going to have the experience to really propel them, hopefully past the first round and beyond. So going on to number 5 and missing out on the playoffs, we have the New York Islanders. Similarly to the Pittsburgh Penguins, they are an aging squad. A lot of veterans on that team, Clutterbuck, Brock Nelson, guys like that. But, they do have some younger guys moving up the roster. Alexander Romanov, Noah Dobson. Another guy I want to take a step forward to be Oliver Wahlstrom. He's still relatively young, former first-round pick along with Dobson. And I think he can really take a step forward, jump into that top 6, maybe even the top line with a guy like Barzal, pot a couple goals, and hopefully with a resurgence with him, with more breakouts by Dobson, Romanov, hopefully that can bring him into a playoff spot.
There is still hope for this Islander team to make the playoffs, but one of the factors in them making the playoffs will be a repeat performance from Bo Horvat. Obviously, their big trade deadline acquisition last year, and he signed that extension last year as well, he was brought in to score. He was on pace to score 40 with the Canucks, and he does get to play with Barzal, but it is a very defensive system in New York that they run. So it'll be interesting to see, like an off-season with them, how he adapts to that system. And, hopefully he can have a repeat performance for the Islanders, and who knows, maybe they'll squeak into the playoffs. Coming in 6th place in the Metro, we have the Washington Capitals. Another aging team in this Metro division. When you're led up front by guys like Alexander Ovechkin, Nicholas Backstrom, and you have a guy like John Carlson on the blue line, even a serviceable goalie in net like Darcy Kemper, there's always a chance to compete. And I see them honestly with an outside shot to make the playoffs. Even though they are aging, led by Ovi, there's always a chance. Someone I do want to see kind of have a full year with the Caps is Connor McMichael. He's still young. He's one of their best prospects. I would like to see him get a full year of NHL experience under his belt, kind of see how the development goes, and then hopefully he can, once Ovi retires and the old guys get out, hopefully he can kind of take the reins and lead a new age Capital squad.
Yeah, a once perennial contender team really fell hard last season, and they've been falling for a while actually. Honestly, I'm gonna go against you. I don't really like the look of the roster. There's a few moves I really do like. I really like them bringing in Rasmus Sandin. I really like the draft of Ryan Leonard in the offseason. But I don't like the extensions, handing out Oshie to Wilson, even Backstrom. Like, it's very high caps for a term that takes him to late 30 years old. And, at this point for me, I think it's more of like an Ovechkin show, whether he can catch Gretzky, whether he can score all those goals. Because, looking at the lineup, looking at the older players with so much money tied up to them, I don't like it, and I don't really see them going to the playoffs. Taking the number 7 spot in the Metro, we have a team that honestly has a lot of hope. We have the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's a very young team with a lot of high-end prospects coming through the pipeline. They've had 6 first-round picks in the last 3 drafts. Looking at the defense already, it's very good, a lot better than last year. They brought in Severson, they brought in, Provorov, and who knows if Yurchek makes the lineup, that'll make the defensive core even stronger. A couple other guys I'd like to see take a step forward is, a former first-round pick in Cole Sillinger. He obviously had a very good season right off the gate. I think he was 18 years old. Didn't have a very good season last season. I think he played in the AHL for a bit, but I hope he can take a step forward here. Maybe take that third-line center, maybe even second-line center, and really run with it.
No, absolutely. I think another point to watch on this young Blue Jackets team is going to be Adam Fantilli. Obviously, the third overall pick, he fell in their lap during the draft. He has the potential to step in as that first line center and get to play with guys like Gaudreau and Laine. That's a great opportunity for a rookie. And if he can produce with those guys, he's going to be a big piece for this Columbus team for years to come. Rounding up the Metro, in 8th, we have the Philadelphia Flyers. This team does have some pieces, but they just don't have the depth to really compete. They will get a healthy Sean Couturier to start the year, which will be exciting for Flyer fans. And they obviously still have a guy like Travis Konechny, who may become a trade piece later. This is a young Philly team just, looking for the number 1 overall pick this year, to be honest. They do still have some pieces. Carter Hart in net is looking for a bounce-back year this year. So there's a few points to watch for this Flyer team, but nothing to get excited about right now.
Yeah, no real surprise in last place. We got the Flyers. I do like what they've done, though. I like what Danny Briere's done as he's come in, moving on from some big contracts like, Kevin Hayes, buying out D'Angelo. I think there's going to be more to come. I think you got to move on from Ristolainen, guys like Ryan Ellis, even Atkinson, if, the opportunity's there. But like you said, they're a young team. There's going to be spaces. There's going to be spaces in the roster to fill. And I think a guy who can do that, Morgan Frost, I think he broke out last year. I think he can continue that momentum and really take, that second line center, even maybe bump up that first line by the end of the season. I think he's really got the capability there. He's a former first-round pick. He's shown a lot of good signs already. And one other thing to note out, they got Michkov, right? Potentially the second best player in the draft. They got him at 6, or it might have been, I think it was 7. But they managed to convince him to really buy into Philadelphia. He was one of those guys who was telling teams not to take him because he didn't want to play. He didn't want to go to Arizona. So I'm really impressed that Philly could do that with Michkov, and that'll really set up their future for years to come. So I guess moving on, we talked about a lot of aging squads. We're going to look at some older guys here and talk about some active fringe player, like fringe Hall of Fame players. So I'll read out the first one to you. I'll read them all out eventually, but I'll read out the first one. Erik Karlsson, obviously the big move. We talked about him earlier. 761 points, 3 Norris trophies, a silver medal at the Olympics and the World Juniors. What are your thoughts?
Erik Karlsson, to me, I think he has to be in the Hall of Fame, honestly. Prime Erik Karlsson was a treat to watch, and watching him on that Senators squad, he was easily the best defenseman in the league. And he was once regarded as a top 3 player in the NHL, right? It was kind of Crosby, Ovechkin, and then Karlsson, right? So I think he does belong in the Hall of Fame, but I could see it going either way.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, Karlsson in Ottawa was just so fun to watch. He was, the reason they went so far in the playoffs. He was the reason, fans would show up. And then just adding, the 100-point season last season onto his, resume, I feel like that sort of just locks it in place. Obviously, a cup would help, and maybe a few more accolades in Pittsburgh, but I think he's pretty much a lock by now. So going to the second player, we'll do a former teammate of Erik Karlsson. Actually, we'll go with Brent Burns. 1,333 games played, 807 points, 1 Norris Trophy, and a silver medal at the World Juniors. You think he's in?
It's tough to say. When we said fringe, we really meant fringe. So for Burns, I think I'm going to have to say that he's out. I just don't think he has the accolades to do it. Only 1 Norris Trophy, no team awards. He's obviously had a great career and has been a great defenseman for many years. Has been on some playoff runs, but doesn't have anything to show for it. So it's tough to put him in without any accolades other than the 1 Norris. So for me, he's out.
I agree. I really do. Obviously, not to take anything away from him. He's obviously been very very great player. I just don't think he's got enough, on that resume. I do think he can change that. He's on a very good Carolina team who could, potentially win it all this year or even next year too. And I think that would really bolster his resume. But as of now, like you said, I think he's out. So we'll go to player 3. We're going to go with a former teammate of Brent Burns. We'll go with Joe Pavelski. 1,001 points, a silver medal at the Olympic Games. He's 8th in goals out of all American skaters, and he's 11th in points of all American skaters. Do you think he's in or do you think he's out?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to put him in here. Although he doesn't really have the accolades either, he's obviously had a great career, like you said, eighth in American-born players, I think, and he's kind of had different like eras of his career, which is cool. And he's aged like fine wine, obviously with the Sharks, then moving on to the Dallas Stars, still producing. And a lot of people kind of expected him to fall off with age, but he's still producing, and I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I hate to sound like a parrot and just keep agreeing with you, but I think he's in as well. He's just been such a great player, and he's only gotten better, in age 37, 38, 39. He's just continually getting better as a player. And, when you look at him, you think about, he was, I think, back in the 7th round pick or whatever it was. And, he defied all odds, make the NHL, and he's just climbed the leaderboard. Every single year, he just keeps climbing. And I think he's going to go down as one of the best, American players ever. And I think, as of right now, he's a lock.
All right, so next up, we have Phil the Thrill Kessel. He has 992 points. He won a Bill Masterson trophy. He won a silver medal at the Olympics. And, of course, he has his 3 Stanley Cups. Kenny, is he in or is he out?
It's so tough to say. It really is, especially with those 3 Stanley Cups to his name. He's been on some amazing teams, amazing rosters, played with some amazing players. But for me, I think he's going to be out. I just think, the way his career's gone, it's really sort of dipped in the past couple of years. I think he had a lot of controversy in Toronto, and I think it's just not enough, personal accolades to really sort of push him over that limit. And, maybe, 4 or 5 years after his eligibility, maybe he'll get in, but definitely not first ballot, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make it at all.
No, absolutely. For me, this is one of those guys who could go either way, and I can see it going both ways. But I think Phil the Thrill deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame. I think what really pushes him over the edge is those 3 Stanley Cups. It was a big part of all those cups, and he played well for them. His career has taken a big hit in the recent few years, but I still think that 992 points, hopefully he can hit 1,000. I think it's enough to get him in the Hall of Fame.
So moving on, we have Corey Perry. So 883 points. He's got, Rocket Richard Trophy, a Hart Trophy, 2 Olympic gold medals, a World Junior gold medal, as well as the Stanley Cup back in 2008.
For me, he's got to be in. I think that's the best resume we've heard so far. And prime Corey Perry on the Ducks was great to watch, right? Perennial 40-goal scorer, and obviously winning that cup in 2008. I think that his resume is perfect. I think he's had a great career. It has kind of fallen off, and he has kind of changed his game in order to stay in the league. But I do think that overall his career has been enough, and he will be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I like what you touched on about sort of changing his game. I think a lot of fans are going to have sort of a bias and really just hate him and not want to see him go in, but you can't really argue with the facts. He's had an amazing career, amazing resume. It's everything you want to look at when you're deciding who goes in, and I think he's a lock for sure. With the next guy, go with Claude Giroux, 1,002 points and a gold medal at the World Junior Games. That's all I got written down. What do you think?
It's tough to really make an argument for him to get in the Hall of Fame when his accolades are that short. He's had a great career, was obviously one of the better forwards of our generation, and watching him on Philly was a treat. He's actually one of my favorite kind of Eastern Conference team players growing up. But yeah, I simply just don't think he has the resume to get in. Had a great career, but I don't think it's Hall of Fame worthy.
I agree. I don't think it's enough. And he can really build on it. He can get more points. He can hopefully win something with Ottawa. But as of now, it's not enough. Despite, how good he is as a player, it's not a Hall of Fame resume.
All right, so rounding up our Fringe Hall of Famer section, we have Jamie Benn. He has 847 points. He's won an Art Ross. He won Olympic gold, and he also has a World Junior gold. Kenny, what are your thoughts?
As good as the Olympic gold and the World Junior gold sound, even the Art Ross sounds really good. I think this is probably one of the more obvious no's. Obviously 900 points, it's respectable, but just, the way his career's gone, the way sort of people perceive him, being overpaid, sort of ruining the playoffs for them last year with that cross check. I don't think he's sort of that caliber player who sort of makes it in. And again, like all these players, they can easily change. my mind and change their resume in the next couple of years, especially with Dallas being so good. But for now, I think he's out.
No, absolutely. Gonna have to agree with you there. It's tough to make a compelling argument for Jamie Benn with that resume. But he came so close in 2020 in the bubble to winning that cup, and he does still has a chance to win a cup with Dallas. And if he has those two cups, I really do think that there is a much better argument, a stronger argument to get him in the Hall of Fame. But right now, he was just like a solid NHL career guy, all star. But I don't think he's good enough to go in the Hall of Fame. So moving on, Kenny and I decided to redraft a draft class, and today we decided to do 2016. So we only did the top 10. So Kenny, do you want to start us off at number 10?
Yeah. So starting out at number 10, we have the guy who's taken the biggest jump from where he was drafted to where we have him, as well as the guy who I think has the most potential to move up this list in future years. And we have Jesper Bratt. Back-to-back 70-point seasons, just got, a big pay raise in the summer. And I think, playing with guys like Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes, Mercer on the wing as well, he's going to just continue to rack up points. He's going to continue to sort of rack up accolades. And I think, with, a couple cups down the road, a couple more 70, 80-point seasons, he's going to jump up to, 6, 5, 4, anywhere on this list.
And the reason we put Bratt so low is obviously because he burst onto the scene only 2 seasons ago. And the reason why we put this guy at 9 above him. So coming in at number 9, we have Pierre-Luc Dubois. Obviously drafted by the Blue Jackets, he went 3rd overall this year. He does kind of take a fall there, but he is a perennial 60-point guy. Scored 60 points with the Blue Jackets and in his most recent season with the Jets. Now he's in LA, and he's kind of going to take that second-line center role. So look for Pierre-Luc Dubois to have another good season and kind of build off of what he had last year on a better Kings team.
Yeah, obviously he does fall in this draft, but he is still a very good player, and he will be for a long time. Moving on to number 8, the guy who was just in front of the draft in 2016 would be Patrik Laine. Obviously, the only reason he's so low is just because he had so many injuries and just so many complications in Columbus. But, nothing, you can't take away his goal-scoring ability, his points ability. He can easily get 35, 40 goals a season, especially playing on the line with guys like Johnny Gaudreau and even maybe Adam Fantilli. I think he can climb up this list in future years, but just as of now, we have him at 8.
So coming in at number 7, we have from the Arizona Coyotes, Clayton Keller. Obviously has kind of been one of the only star points on an abysmal Coyotes team for years. He's been point per game on a very poor Coyotes team, and that's not something easy to do. He's a great player, and he's only going to get better as the Coyotes continue their rebuild and continue to build around him.
Coming in at number 6, we have a guy who went in the second round. We have Alex DeBrincat. Obviously last year wasn't his best year, but looking back a couple years ago, he does have 40-goal seasons. He plays really well with Patrick Kane, and now he's got a fresh start. He's moving on to Detroit. Got a lot of young talent over there, a lot of potential to really break out and regain that 40-goal scorer ability. And, just because we have him at 6 doesn't mean, he's not, one of the best players of this draft. It's just that the next 5 players are just even better.
So coming in at number 5, we have a defenseman. Coming off an injury, he was a late first-round pick. We have Charlie McAvoy. He drafted by the Bruins and just got healthy last year. He is one of the best D-men in the league, one of the best right-handed defensemen in the league, to be a little more precise. Obviously signed that big extension in Boston. He's a great two-way defender for them, and he's going to be a cornerstone of that franchise as they ease their way into a new era.
Yeah, he was honestly a potential captain option for them before they gave it to Marchand. And, at that 5 spot, that's where the Canucks were picking. So, I really wish we had him over the guy that we did get. Coming to number 4, we have a guy who's jumped up from, late first round to number 4 here. We have Tage Thompson. Obviously broke out a couple years ago, and just the highlight reel moves, the, goal scoring ability that he has. I think he's going to put up 50 this year. I think he's going to, push for the Rocket this year. And I think Buffalo's got a really good player in Tage Thompson.
No, absolutely. And watching his highlight reel is truly a treat. Like, it's just crazy how a guy that tall can move like that. It just doesn't feel right, it doesn't look right, but he makes it happen. So, coming in at number 3, we have the only other D-man on this list, Adam Fox. Obviously was drafted by the Flames, refused to play for them, got traded to the Hurricanes, also refused to play for them, and forced his way to New York. That being said, he is one of the best right-handed defensemen in the league, probably only second to Cale Makar at the moment. He already has a Norris under his belt, and he's on a very strong New York Rangers team, and his career has been nothing short of great so far, and he does have the potential to even continue to get better. So Adam Fox at 3.
Yeah, obviously I have mixed feelings about him sort of, forcing his way out of the teams that took a chance on him. But you can't deny his skill. You can't deny his playmaking ability, defensive ability, everything. He's just an amazing player, and they really have a good one there in New York. So coming to number 2, there really was no other option here. It is Matthew Tkachuk. Just a couple of years ago, he really, really broke out, getting 100 points, and then this year just showed another level. Really carried the Panthers, especially in the playoffs, and he just showed how well he can play as a goal scorer, playmaker, agitator, really anything. He's just, a Swiss Army knife of a player, and, I think he really deserves that number 2 spot. Obviously, in most other drafts, he could be a potential number 1, but there's just another guy in the way for him.
So, coming in at number 1 for this 2016 redraft, it should be no surprise, it's Austin Matthews. Even after what can be considered a down year by his standards last year, he still scored 40 goals. And I hate to sound like a Leaf fan and saying, if a down year is 40 goals, but it's true. He really is a one-of-a-kind player and actually plays a very strong two-way game. He's known for his goal scoring, but his defensive ability is also very elite. He really does it all. Great two-way forward for the Leafs, and there was no other place for him to go but one on this list.
Yeah, we went sort of back and forth about most players in this list, but, he was undeniably number 1. And, if the Maple Leafs could draft, take that pick 100 more times, they'd take him 100 more times.
All right, so just to wrap up today's episode, doing a little bit of trivia, as usual. Kenny, we both have 2 for each other. Do you want to go first, or should I? What are you thinking?
I'll go first, sure.
You'll go first? Okay.
We're going to go with, it's not really a game, but it's something new.
Okay.
I'm just going to give you the player, and you're going to give me their jersey number. Simple as that.
Ooh, okay.
10 players. See how many you can get.
10 players? Got it.
To make it easier, I'm not going to pick anyone who moved in the offseason, maybe change numbers. It'll be some consistent guys.
Sure.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. Number 1, Dylan Larkin.
Dylan Larkin wears number 71.
Boom. William Nylander.
William Nylander changed. He wears 88.
There you go, 2 for 2. Patrick Laine.
Laine, I believe he wears number 29.
There you go, 3 for 3. Nikolai Ehlers.
Ehlers? Ooh, I want to say 27.
There you go,
Okay,
4 for 4.
okay.
John Gibson.
Oh, John Gibson. Oh, it's 30-something. I'm between a few numbers. I'm gonna say he wears number 36.
There you go,
Okay.
all right. Jordan Kyrou.
Ooh, Jordan Kyrou wears number 29?
It's close, it's 25.
Ooh, okay.
Clayton Keller.
Clayton Keller wears number 9.
There you go, Anthony Cirelli.
I want to say 71.
Here you go,
Okay,
all right. 7
okay.
for 8. 2 more. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
The Nuge, he wears number 93.
There you go.
Okay.
And for a score of 9 of 10, Owen Power.
20.
That's close. It's the same as Kyrou, 25.
25 as well? Yeah, I didn't know that one. Here today, also something different. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You can ask me yes or no questions to guess
Okay.
the NHL player. I will start the timer when you ask your first question.
Is he an active player?
Yes.
Does he play in the Eastern Conference?
Yes.
The Metro Division?
No.
Does he play in Canada?
No.
Does he play in Florida?
Yes.
Tampa Bay?
No.
Forward?
Yes.
Is he Makachuk?
No.
Barkov?
No.
Verhaeghe?
No.
Reinhardt?
No.
Lundell?
Yes, got Lundell. Got it with
Let's
a
go.
few seconds to
Let's go.
spare. Took a second to stop it, but yes, 29 seconds, and he gets Anton Lundell.
Just gotta guess the player. 3 hints. Pretty
Sure.
simple.
Yep.
Hint number 1. He played junior with the Owen Sound attack.
Okay.
And number 2, he was drafted in the first round but never appeared for a game for that team.
Okay.
Number 3, the current team that he is on, he is the captain.
Okay. I mean, Owen Sound doesn't help. This one's hard, actually.
I'll replace that Owen Sound hint.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't help. I'll give you, when he was drafted, that was the team's, one of the team's 3 first-round picks that year.
Who's the Canadians? Oh my gosh, is it Nick Suzuki?
There you go.
Okay.
Process of elimination.
Played for Owen
Nick
Sound.
Suzuki.
All right. So for my last trivia question, this wouldn't be like even possible for the average person, but Kenny here has memorized the first round of every draft. If you give him the draft position and the team for the last, what is it, like 12 years, you've memorized back to 2012, is it, Kenny? Yeah, that's something special. So today, I actually asked on our Instagram story, I asked some of our listeners to give us a number between 1 and 31. So one of the answers was 14. So today you will be trying to name the last 10 14 overall picks in the NHL. And I will give you the teams where necessary, because if I just give you the teams right away, you're going to go 10 for 10 like no problem. So we need to make you think a bit. So we can start wherever you want. Just pick a year and say the player you think it is.
2023. Willander was 11th. Someone went 12. Benson went 13. Braden Yeager went 14.
Braden Yeager did go 14, 1 for 1.
2022. Geeky went 11. Nazar went 13. I'm thinking Rutger McGroarty.
Rutger McGroarty went 14 in 2022. That's 2 for 2 with no teams.
2021.
I think this one's the hardest one on the list.
Gonna go with Roseanne.
So what's his first name?
Isaac Roseanne.
Isaac Roseanne is correct. 14th overall to the Sabres.
Okay.
2020.
2020. Perfetti was 10. Because I don't know the exact order. Askar was 11. Amirov was 12. Somewhere around there. Guri was too far. I think it's like 16. I'm going to need the team for 2020.
The team is in the Pacific Division, and they play in Canada.
Dylan Holloway.
Dylan Holloway was 14th overall to the Oilers.
Okay.
2019.
2019. That would be Cam York.
Cam York.
2018.
So that's Flyers, Oilers, Sabres, Jets, Penguins.
Flyers, Oilers. 2018 Flyers.
Yes.
Farabee.
Joel Farabee is correct. Into 2017.
2017. Tippett was 10. We should have just done 10th overall. It's like name over. Where's the team?
In the Atlantic. In the Atlantic, in the States.
Oh, Cal Foot.
I was about to say, you don't need much help here. To the Tampa Bay Lightning. 2016, 3 more. He's 7 for 7.
Chikrin was 16th. That's why I feel like Cunnin was 15. McAvoy was 14.
He sounded pretty confident. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to say McAvoy.
Charlie McAvoy did go 14th to the Boston Bruins. 2015.
Kroos, Gurianov. Oh, 2015. Oh, it's back to back to back. Oh gosh. It's Zaboral, DeBrusk, or Senyshyn. Dean would be Zach Senyshyn.
Zach Senyshyn is incorrect. So you're 8 for 9 right now. It is Jake DeBrusk. So moving on to the last year, he's 9 for 10. The team is in the Central Division.
Oh, 2014 Dallas. Julius Honka.
Julius Honka is correct, and he goes 9 for 10, which is.
Where's 2013? Where's 2013? Where's the team?
We only did the last 10 years. I don't know 2013.
2013.
Oh,
you don't know? Oh, okay.
It's the Winnipeg Jets.
Josh Morrissey.
Yeah. Easy work for the kid. Oh no, sorry, that was 13th overall. My bad.
Oh.
14th overall was Columbus.
Oh, Wenberg.
Okay, he's automatic with the team. You see, that's why I wasn't telling him.
That Boston one's gonna kill me. Oh no.
9 for 10 is pretty good. So yeah, thank you to whoever answered 14 to our Instagram story. Be sure to keep an eye on our story. Maybe this is something we incorporate a little bit more in the future. So yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Be sure to comment anything down below that you would like to see in future episodes.
1,000 blades cutting up and you won't hear a sound. I got 1,000 gunmen turning up, but they will gun you down. Oh, you know she wild inside emoji, oh, you got a frown. Tomato to my haters, hope you get lost and you don't get found.